Women have been serving in administrative and technical roles in various corps, but combat roles for them, initially in the military police, is a new beginning. The recent Supreme Court judgment has finally accepted gender parity in the armed by allowing women officers in command positions. Now, the need is for women's greater participation in the military as if in the workforce. Talking about military and women, women in combat refers to sort of female military personnel assigned to combat positions. Simply, the role of women in the military has varied across the world's major countries throughout the history, with several views for and against women in the combat. And firstly, we'll be talking about the women in the military combat, if it is a new move. Many cultures have female deities often portrayed as warriors, suggesting the active presence of women in the forces. Written history has recorded plenty of events that show female participation in the military. When the world has largely agricultural, both men and women were expected to work. And simultaneously, gender roles were not as rigid as they would become after the Industrial Revolution. So, it is believed that the type and the conditions of work for men and women changed after the period of Industrial Revolution, which included exclusion of women from the armed forces. Secondly, talking about the present scenario, the official recognition of women as full-fledged members of the forces started in the late 1940s. They became officially recognized as a permanent part of the US forces in the year 1948, and in UK in 1949, and lastly in Canada in 1951. In most of the countries, the first batch of women soldiers joined in the 1980s or 1990s. In India, it started recruiting women in its forces in 1992. In some countries like New Zealand, Canada, Israel, military positions including combat roles are open for women. And Turkey is the first country to allow women to fly the fighter planes. Now, if we talk about India and the status of women in Indian military is kind of spotty. Now, kind of spotty, and I mean that IAF has begun inducting women as fighter pilots, but the Navy does not allow them seagoing roles. And as for the Army, they are permitted in non-combat arms only. Last year, in 2018, Army Chief Bipin Rawat made all the classically patriarchal arguments to argue that women cannot be given combat roles, and the most obvious thing and the facetious ones being that they would find it difficult to exercise authority over soldiers with a rural background and make claim to maternal leave, and that was the reason why Bipin Rawat came the following things. Now, very simple plain thing, you don't have to look at exotic sports to understand the basic point about the inherent toughness of a woman. Look at any nearby work site and you will see women workers doing exactly the same work as the men, using the spade and the shovel and hoisting bricks and so on. Sometimes they also have to nurse a child, and in the farm or maybe a factory or industry, women do the same jobs as men, but without being given either credit or a salary for it, even though they shoulder the double burden of being the caregiver of the family. And just like this, today's video ends here. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you get to know at least a bit of kind of information. So don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow friends or your family or anyone that you know, And don't forget to subscribe for sure. Comment how was it. Goodbye. See you very soon.